We can get started. All right, good morning, and on behalf of the ALLT 2020 Fall Forum organizing team, I would like to welcome you all. The ALLT Fall 2020 Forum is organized in collaboration with Zayed University and the Higher Colleges of Technology. My name is Dr. Lana Hiyasat, and I will be moderating this session in virtual room number 5 until 11:30. So this is the last session I'm moderating this morning. The presentation for each speaker will be for 15 to 20 minutes maximum, followed by a 5-minute discussion. You are welcome to write your questions in the chat box function during the presentation. And as a moderator, I will collate your questions and pass them to the presenter in the last 5 minutes of the session. I will give a polite reminder to the speaker of the time remaining after 15 minutes of the talk has passed. Now, I would like to remind you that our distinguished keynote speakers will bring the forum to a close from 2 to 3:20 p.m. in virtual room number 6. Please be sure to join the keynote sessions. I hope you obtain an insightful shift in your approach to teaching and learning whilst you participate in the second ALLT online forum. Now, could I welcome Huda Jamal to deliver her session on using lexical, contextual, and grammar markers in learning vocabulary. She will introduce herself to the audience and then start the presentation. Welcome, Huda.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lana. My name is Huda Jamal. I am a faculty from Abu Dhabi Women's College. Today, I'd like to present on using lexical and grammar markers in learning vocabulary. Before I start the presentation, I'd like to go briefly over some review of literature. In research, there are many arguments on the best method or approach to teach vocabulary. Some scholars argue that the best way is through providing students with the meanings, definitions, objects, visuals, to help your students understand vocabulary. Other scholars argue that you cannot teach words in isolation, and you have to provide some sort of context. Words have to be integrated in a type of reading context to see the relationship among words and how they work together. Other researchers say it's very important to teach the form, the grammar, the syntax, and structure of the word, for example, as the part of speech. Okay, what about what about the best method in teaching vocabulary? From my experience and from me teaching vocabulary in the English language program for about now 8 years, I realized that the best method in teaching vocabulary is a balanced mix of more than one technique or more than one method. I would say that use all the methods I just mentioned now. So when learning vocabulary or when teaching vocabulary in my classes, I use mainly the two most prominent approaches, and I combine all these methods within these two approaches, which are the semantic approach and the structure, syntax, or grammar approach. In the semantic approach, I teach the meaning, synonyms, contextual clues, vocabulary in context, and in the structure approach, I teach the parts speech, the word family, collocations if possible, and of course the spelling and pronunciation. I realize now when we are teaching remotely, our classes now are virtual classes and teach online, and we just end up with a screen, and our students are on the other side looking at the screen. I noticed that many students are not fully aware of the meaning or the form of the word, and they end up having the wrong meaning or a faulty meaning of the word, or a faulty image of the word, and thus unable to use it correctly. What I mean by this is the students fail to understand the meaning, and they cannot visualize the lexical markers of the word. As an example, I can draw here is the word achieve, which I just taught it this semester in one of my vocabulary labs. I realized that students translate or understand the word achieve, which is a verb, as its noun form, which is achievement. In order to solve this problem and be sure that students understand the correct form and meaning of the word, first of all, I push away Google Translate from my students, and I warn them not to use it, because this is like, I feel that Google Translate failed to give them the right meaning of the word. And instead of that, I provide them with a more reliable and authentic source of meaning, which is the online Cambridge Dictionary. So we started using the online Cambridge Dictionary as a reliable source for our students, not only in the Abu Dhabi Women's College for our English communication students, but system-wide. Another solution I provided to solve this problem is that myself providing my students with less explaining or showing the right and matching meaning in Arabic to avoid them having the wrong images. If the word means like if the word has more than meaning, it could be used in different forms of like a word can be used as a noun or a verb. I also clarify this to my students and show them how words are used correctly in context. Another thing, another lexical marker I realized when teaching my students in remote education is that I try my best to avoid providing students with long definitions in my online classes. I realized that it becomes boring for my students just to listen to me talk and define words. They have the dictionaries with them, the online dictionaries, and they can do this themselves independently. I focus on the synonym of the word. I feel that providing students with English synonyms is more useful for two things mainly. First of all, a synonym is easier to remember, and it makes retention higher. Another thing, a synonym is also a possible question item for their quizzes that my students really care about. In this case, I provide this example, like for example, the word almost. It's an A2 word, or A2 plus, I'm not sure, I don't remember. there is a big chance that one of the options in the multiple choice question is to have a synonym. If the students are provided with the possible synonyms of the word, they can get that question correctly, because if they know that nearly means almost, then they have no issues, and that helps them in two ways. For example, remember the word, having a synonym for it, and number two, it will help them with their quizzes. A third thing that I focus while teaching my students vocabulary online is to provide them with key markers, signal words, related words. For example, the word countryside. What are what will countryside in a context mostly come with, like words like green, fresh, cities like Salalah, which are famous of their beautiful countryside. So students from the sentence itself can predict and get the correct meaning of the word through those signal words or key words in a sentence. Another example is like, for example, the word sick. What are the possible related words for the word sick? Hospital, patient, medicine, doctor, nurse. During classes, I always elicit these words and encourage my students to come with related words. After, of course, we discuss the meaning, the correct part of speech, the possible synonyms, and then we go further than that, and we discuss the related words. We can use the chat panel in like Collaborate, because in our classes we are using online Collaborate in Blackboard. Even if we're using Zoom, sometimes if we have technical issues, we can still have discussions. Sometimes I also use my camera and screen the board in the class to draw discussions and to write the possible keywords for the vocabulary I'm teaching. Vocabulary in context. In the English communication courses, we are given 12 words, 12 steps to teach in a whole semester. Each set contains 30 to 40 words. In order to solve this problem of teaching words in isolation, because these words are isolated, in the English, in the task force committee, which I'm a member of, we decided to integrate all the words in a list into a type of a reading context, as you can see here. And we integrate all of these words and we highlight them according to the part of speech to make it visible for our students. We, on the top of the reading passage, we categorize the words according to their part of speech. If the word can be used in two parts of speech, we are sure to show this to our students. After students read the passage and enjoy the reading, I'm a writer, so I like to create very enjoyable stories from these words in a list. Then we provide our students with reading comprehension questions, like titles, main ideas, reference questions, multiple choice questions for details, scanning, main idea. References, inferences, and so on. Okay, after we cover all the semantic possible method in teaching vocabulary, I and some teachers as well try to go over also the grammar key markers. Again, the part of speech is very important in meaning, and it's also very important in grammar. Our students care a lot about their quizzes. We have bi-weekly quizzes, and when they perform well on these quizzes, they have a sense of ability and achievement. And I always try to give my students tips and strategies to guess and predict the correct answer. One of these tips is the part of speech, the infinitive two. I tell my students that always after the infinitive two is the base verb. So if you got two and then you get a blank, you have only to choose a verb. If they have a question like this, then the word achievement, which is a noun, and active, which is an adjective, these words are ruled out. And then students only need to focus on achieve and spend. And then they go and read the question item again to figure out what to choose. That eliminates two choices, and they end up having only two possible choices, which make their chances of getting the correct answer higher. Students love these tips, and they really find them useful.
Just a gentle reminder, 5 more minutes before we start with the questions and discussion.
Sure. Thank you. The infinitive to, this is another example. Like, for example, she always tries to. Here, avoidable, affordable, completely are ruled out. And you can see students only end up with two choices. I want also to go over the word family. Word families are very, very important in knowing meaning. I always focus with my students on the ing and ed suffixes. Ing is always makes the present participle that functions as noun, like walking, reading, writing. Walking is a very healthy exercise. Reading is a very important skill to improve your vocabulary. So students know that when the word ends with when the verb ends with ing, it means mostly a noun. Ed is mostly an adjective. I'm bored, I'm interested in, I'm excited, and so on. If the students see the word completely and they see the suffix ly, then it's in most cases an adverb. Complete is an adjective. Just always give you the opposite meaning, like dislike, and it doesn't matter on the cipher level of the word, because I can still teach my students these suffixes and prefixes within lower levels. Word analysis and word families. For example, these words are all were all presented in one list. Pleasant, pleasing, pleasure, please. Students find it really difficult to understand the differences among these words, although they are from the same family. So it's so important to show students and to clarify the differences in these words. What I usually do to make it clear to my students is to put all the related words in one paragraph. Because of time, I'm not gonna read the paragraph, but now you got the idea. How it works for me. Another example is to put the words in multiple choice sentences. Lucky, which is an adjective, luck, a noun, luckily, an adverb. How can we know the different meanings of these related words? And sometimes I also show the difference in grammar, and I give students tips to understand these words. The words includes, including, included, included the verb, including as a present participle, and included as a past participle. Students also find it difficult, especially if they have the three choices in one sentence or in one question. So it's very important for students to know and understand the word family and what is the difference between the ed, ing forms and the base form of a word if it's going to be a verb. I usually add grammar tips to my students. Sometimes, even if it's not a common thing, but it depends on the word I'm teaching, and I'd like to cover vocabulary from all aspects. Here, for example, if we have a blank and the blank is preceded by an article, a or an, I always draw my students' attention to the fact that an is followed by words that start with a vowel sound. In this case, we have a, and it's not a vowel sound, so I'm going to eliminate attractive and interesting. Okay, this is like a grammar tip. I also show my students, and they find it very useful. Sometimes with difficult questions, examiners they would put an within two brackets next to a to confuse students, but sometimes not. So it's always better for students to be aware of these tricks and checks. Also, sometimes I show the different spelling, like quiet and quiet. I wanted to show it, but now because of time, I think I'm gonna just skip it. Collocations. The best example to show here is the word interested, which we are studying in our lesson. I tell my students that if you, for example, find the word in a question or in a question that we have the word interested as one of the choices, just take interested, because interested always come with in. Students find this also useful. These tips are not like 100% accurate, but I would say 50 to 60% accurate, and they help my students a lot. Plus the other main things which I cover with my students as the priorities, which are like the meanings, the part of the speech, the context, and then I add these checks. To be honest with you, my students love my vocabulary classes, and they usually perform very well in quizzes, and I think it's all, especially now in our online classes, as I said, because we just have the screen with our students, not like before we are in a classroom. Of course, there are plenty of material in Blackboard, online exercises. We have plenty of exercises as well, but we need at the same time to guide our students to the best steps and to show them the best ways to retain these words and understand them and use them correctly and perform better in their quizzes. I think that's the end of my presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Huda, for sharing the tips and strategies that you use teaching vocabulary in your classes. And I'd like to invite the participants to post any questions or comments in the chat box. Dalia is also thanking you for your presentation.
Thank you.
I would like to ask you a couple questions that I found quite interesting from your presentation. What strategy do you use to have your students enjoy vocabulary in your classes, especially as now we are doing online classes?
Well, first of all, I'm very I like so much to follow the Bob's framework in teaching my classes. So I always go through the pre-assessment, bridge, and then participatory tasks, and then the post-assessment, and then assignments. I use Nearpod as a platform for my classes, or to present my classes, because Nearpod, in my opinion, has all the options that I can utilize as a teacher in remote education, where I can embed a lot of videos. I can manage the whole class, because all the class are going to be in front of me with their names. I can know that they are all participating. I can see their names. I can also embed online quizzes and games like Kahoot, quizzes, online exercises. So I feel that Nearpod is ideal for me. I also use Blackboard, but Blackboard usually I use it as an independent study. Like I use it I would guide my students after the classroom to go and do the quizzes in Blackboard, but mainly in the classroom, I would use lecturing, like face-to-face talking with my students through Nearpod. I would use as I told you, Nearpod. Online quizzes, and I would use the chat panel.
Thank you, Huda. We have a couple comments by Dalia saying that she uses clip parts and pictures and adds vocabulary word matched with a clear picture next to it. What do you think of these strategies? Have you used it as well?
I use this as well. It's just the time. There are many methods which I said at the very beginning to teach vocabulary, and I believe that all of these methods are great if they are instructed efficiently, like objects, images, drawing, and this option is also available in Nearpod, gap cells. All of these methods are great, and I use them, and it's always better to provide your students with a variety of ways to deliver your classes.
Thank you, Huda. We're running out of time, and Olga also says this is a very interesting topic. You've done very well, so we all thank you. And towards the end of this session, we would like to invite the audience, the participants, to provide their feedback in the link that will be provided in the chat box. And thank you again, Huda, for your presentation. We will have a break at 11:30 till 11:55, and then start the afternoon sessions. Please be reminded to join the keynote session starting at 2. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Huda.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lana. Thank you. Many thanks to everyone.